right, everybody, welcome back to our little podcast we call Tales from the Other Side, Stories of Grace. My name's Dr. Philip Martin, and today I got my good friend Jamey Davis joining us. Jamey, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Man, I'm so glad that you're here too. But I'm so glad that when we do this podcast, not only can they listen to it right down the road, but you can also watch it like on YouTube, our YouTube channel, because you've got the sickest ink of anybody around. Like those sleeves are bad. You know how jealous I am.
Thank you.
We talk about that a lot, and so and I know they all tell a story.
A lot of my stories in my arms, yeah.
Yeah. Now, how long have we known each other?
So I remember the first day you walked in the old church.
No way.
All slick back.
Yes.
Looking slick. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then I had spiky hair for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a while back. That was like 13 years ago. Mm-hmm. We've known each other since then.
Since then, yeah.
Yeah. And we've both kind of watched each other grow and transition in life. Yeah. My hair's gotten longer and yours has gotten shorter.
Well, you know.
I don't think it was ever longer. I never saw you with
go
hair.
with what God gives you.
That's
you know?
exactly right, man. It looks good. And you've been a part of the Grove, our church family. And if you're not from the Grove, no big deal. But we do have a church family, and some of the stories that we're telling are coming right out of the church. But you've been a part of the Grove, man, for years.
Since I was in the 8th grade.
Man, no kidding.
Yeah.
But now you're, a sophomore, so a couple of years.
Freshman.
Freshman.
I had to get the hell me back.
Yeah, but that's a long time.
Yeah.
I share with our family a lot, but the average church member's life in a church before they recycle or go somewhere else is 5 years. So I think it's a testimony to you and just your stick-to-itiveness as far as what God's doing here and being loyal to a particular group of people that we all come together and try to be the hands and feet of Jesus. And so I want to thank you for that, man.
Absolutely.
But you don't just come to church, you're an active participant.
Sure, yeah.
You're the drummer.
I love it.
Yeah, you're like our animal.
I love
from
being
the
in that
Muppets.
box. I'm not going to lie.
I
love
know.
it.
We put you in a box and you just do your thing.
I do, yeah.
But you also are in a band.
I am, yeah.
Rev 5.
Rev 5, yeah.
Yeah, and y'all play a lot around town. And,
We do,
and a lot of venues.
We do, yeah.
You got I've met a lot of folks that are sold out Rev 5 fans.
That's cool.
I mean, they're everywhere you guys are.
Yeah.
So whether you're at the smokehouse, you're at Bayside, wherever, they're going to be there.
Yeah.
And how long have you done that?
Gosh, we've been together 12, 13 years, something like that.
Doggone, that's awesome too. About the same time I showed up.
Yeah. Now, my bass player and I, we've been together since we were little, like 8th grade, 7th,
No
8th grade.
kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool, man. So today as we come in, I wanted to make sure we got that part out first. We didn't just get each other. We've known each other for a long time.
Long time, yeah.
We've seen things go on. You're the voice of the Jackets. You're highly, influential in our community. You've poured into kids' lives through all your endeavors in KOC Sports, which is, if you don't know what that is, that's Kingston Optimist Club. But from football to basketball, and your love of baseball, amongst other things. And you're also a barber. You've cut more hair than, if there's a man in Roane County gets his hair cut, he gets his hair cut by you.
I hope so.
Yeah, except for me.
Yeah.
But that's because you use shears and clippers, and I'm trying to keep some of my hair.
That's because you're smart.
Yeah, one day when our hair falls out, then I'll be coming to you, and I'll let you shave it or whatever. But the point is man, you've been around, and so a lot of people be saying, why is Jamey doing a Tale from the Other Side, Stories of Grace? But man, it's been a hard couple of years for you.
It has. Very eye-opening.
You've been on a journey.
Yeah.
And not just a spiritual journey. We'll get to the spiritual side, but won't you kind of catch our people up on where this past year's been for you, or past couple of years have been for you physically?
Yeah, I had a stroke back in 22. I was actually at the ball field, and some wonderful people there, I still say saved my life. They don't see it that way, but I do.
Yeah, you were actually in a meeting, right?
I was in a meeting,
You were planning, what's coming up. It was 2022. We just come out of COVID 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you guys are having a meeting, and you started developing some symptoms.
I tell you how God works. We actually had planned on canceling that meeting.
Wow.
And, a couple of us decided, you know what, let's just get together anyway.
Yeah.
Had we not had that meeting, I'm not so sure I would be here, because I would have just been laying in bed and I wouldn't have been able to get any help.
Unbelievable how God ordains our steps, even the hard ones, right? But the story goes, for those that don't know, because I think this is just an unbelievable story. You're at this meeting, and I think you were trying to talk or something, and things just weren't.
Yeah, I was talking to a couple of guys around the table, and I started giggling uncontrollably.
No kidding.
And I looked at one of the folks that were there, and I said, "I'm fixing to throw up all over you." Wow. And I'm smiling the whole time, grinning from ear to ear.
They thought,
"Oh, you're okay. Your sugar's just low." And I sat back, and I couldn't move. I couldn't move my left side. Huh. And when Ashley, that was with me, she said, "Grab my hand." So I grabbed her hand. She said, "No, silly, with the other hand." And I said, I can't do it.
And here's a blessing. She's a nurse.
She's a nurse.
So
yeah.
she knew what to do, when to do it. You're having problems. Your left side's not working.
Yeah.
Right side's working.
Yeah.
You started laughing uncontrollably, which probably nobody would have paid attention to, knowing you, because you like right now you're smiling.
Yeah.
Right. But that's who we are, and so in the press box at that place, at the field, at a place looking out over a place that you love, that you've poured years and years and years in.
Yeah.
You're having probably one of the most scary moments of your life.
It really was. Yeah.
And you're surrounded by people that, man, just have done life with you and seen you.
Knew what to do, how to handle it. Yeah. Saved my life, as I've said 1,000 times, and none of those folks like to hear me say that, but facts are facts.
Facts are facts, man. They were there for a reason. God orders their steps too.
Yeah.
So we get you loaded up in an ambulance? Is that what happened?
No. They drove. Ruby drove me to the ER because I'm hateful and hard-headed.
Yeah, because half your body doesn't work doesn't mean you need a doctor.
Well, at the time I didn't have health insurance, so that's a expensive trip.
That is, man.
So she takes me to Roan Medical, and they were phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Rushed me in, knew what to do right away.
One of the interesting things is we kind of talking how God's ordering your steps, and these are all stories of grace.
Yeah.
Right. So we can start seeing, even telling that part, we can start seeing grace, and we'll come back to that. But what I found out since then, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is right. If not, it sounds awesome, but I'm pretty sure it's right. We got hospitals that specialize in different things. Right here, we're at the foothills of the Smokies. You got UT that has trauma surgeons. I mean, that's where you go if you have trauma. If you have heart disease, you end up at Park West, where they have unbelievable heart specialists, and I'm sure there's other hospitals that do that as well. But if you have a stroke, I've heard that Roan Medical is the leading physician's place for stroke.
Roan Medical is the place to be if you're a stroke victim. And I didn't know that at the time because I'm just going to go to Park West. And they said, the ambulance driver said, well, you can go to Park West, but if you do, they're just going to have to send you downtown when Roan Medical is a stroke center.
And the people that may not know really where we live and what's going on, we're talking about maybe a 6, 7, 8 minute drive.
Correct.
From where you were,
yeah.
If the red lights, if our 2 red lights don't stop you in the big town.
Yeah.
So you make it there. And you're rushed in. You're at a stroke specialist place, and the doctors take you in. Do you know you're having a stroke at this point?
Well, I'm still in disbelief at this point.
Okay.
This is a Monday, and I got to be at work Tuesday.
You're male,
and I'm going, guys. We need to wrap this up. I've got to work in the morning.
Yeah.
And they're going, Mr. Davis, you've just had a major stroke. You're not.
Your left side's not working.
Correct.
How's your speech at this moment?
Well, I thought it was fine, but come to find out, it wasn't so hot.
Yeah,
my
kind of like my kids when I tell them to stop mumbling.
Yeah.
So you were having a hard time speaking. You didn't know it though. Your brain's still playing tricks on you.
Yeah.
And so you get in there, but it wasn't like you just go in, they give you a shot, you're good. Like you had a rough couple of days.
Well, I'm laying in ICU right after this happened, and I'm arguing with my oldest son, Alex, and I'm like, I got to get to work. I need you to call A, B, and C because they're usually there first thing on Tuesday morning. Make sure they know I'm gonna be a little late.
Yeah.
And it finally tells them to be quiet. And when you're laying in a hospital bed, you got the 2 rails that are beside you, and I'm staring at this rail on the left, trying to make my hand grab this rail. I'm just begging, Lord, please let me grab this rail. And a couple hours go by and things kind of calm down, and then I end up having another stroke.
Oh my gosh!
And I looked around and I said, "Hey guys, I'm having another stroke right now."
You knew it at that point.
I knew at that point, and they rushed in. I was very scared. It's something you can't control, and we're men. We've talked about this in the past. Yeah. We're control freaks.
Yeah,
and especially me. I like things to be the way I plan them, and this is not part of your plan.
I would argue, and I think we're close enough. I can say this to you: you're just a tad bit hard headed, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
And I say that from a guy
I know.
that's hard headed as well.
Yeah.
Right. We see things a certain way. We don't really see ourselves as old as we are. We think we can do more than we can do.
Certainly.
And so now all of a sudden you're in this moment and your body is revolting against you.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can't say, hey, stop, quit doing whatever you're doing up in there, right? So you're scared and you start to have another stroke. What's happening now?
And now I'm making deals with God. And that's just
in the middle of
the plain cold truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I'm thinking, it's not about me anymore. And my first prayer is, Lord, please don't make me an invalid.
Ooh.
I don't want my kids having to wipe me and take care of me, and please don't let that happen.
That's so raw, like that you share that. Like, I think sometimes we think about those things like if we're just having lunch with somebody and we say, hey, what's your greatest fear? But to think that you're going through like this moment and that's what you're thinking about, like that makes me kind of feel anxious just thinking about that.
It was scary. It's just so difficult to explain to anyone when you want your body to do something and you just can't.
Ooh.
I mean, can't is a word that most of us, my mama used to say, can't never could do nothing. And, that's the way we were brought up.
Right, yeah.
You work a little harder, you can do it. And that's what I've always done.
Put your mind to it.
But this was one of those things, there wasn't any bartering. There wasn't any anything I could do. It was just what it was.
So we have this stroke, man, and you're laying there and you're having all these thoughts run through your mind. Where do we go from there?
The thing that always sticks in my mind, and I believe it always will, but there was a clock on the wall, that had hands on it, not a digital one. And I'm watching this second hand go around, and I'm staring at this clock all night long, just begging God, please.
Were you by yourself?
Alex never left me alone. He stayed with me the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get him to go home, and he won't go. But he was sitting beside me, and I'm staring at this clock, going, "Please, Lord, please let me grab the arm of this bed, please." So you start making deals. Lord, if you save me, if you, and we've all been there at some point. But this was such a surreal thing. It's just so difficult to explain to anyone who's never been there, and I pray that no one ever else has to. But we're bulletproof till we're not.
Yeah.
I mean, we just are. And
so you're making these deals, and did God hear you?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened on the backside of that?
A complete life change.
Can you tell us what the deal was that you felt like you had to share, or is that private?
The deals I was making with God?
Yeah.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I said, God, please, I wanted to hold my grandkids. And I got a little angry at myself, thinking they're all so little, and I wasn't going to have the chance. The thought of not having the chance to raise them, to teach them how to throw a ball, to take them to get ice cream, all those little things that as a poppy you dream of doing your whole life. And now I've got all these grandbabies coming at me, and I want to love on each and every one of them all I can. And
because Grady Kate, that's your first,
yeah,
and she was a year old?
Yeah.
Doggone.
I didn't want to be the little poppy over in the wheelchair pooping on himself. I'm just being straight with you,
Yeah, that'd be a weird poppy.
I mean, I'm just being honest with you, 50 years old and I can't tie my shoes. I'm begging God, please give me another chance, And
at the same time, your speech hadn't come back.
No, it took a while for that.
I mean, you were stuttering.
Yeah.
And I remember, and this is not to make light of that, but I remember hearing you'd had a stroke. I remember keeping up with, Alex or whoever it was. We were all texting. It was touch and go for several days for you. They were, the way I understand it, they had like a new kind of specialized medicine thing that they were doing.
Yeah.
Where you had to be there at a certain time to actually get it.
Yeah.
And you were.
I was, yeah.
God was all over that. You're getting this specialized stuff. And then several weeks later, kind of fast forward that. So you're going through all that. You're having all those fears. You're going home. The doctor's telling you got to do this, this, and this. You got to come back. You've got the fact that you don't have insurance hanging over your head. Now you can't work. Your left side's not working like it was. And Jamey, the communicator, the guy that taught you cut hair But you talk for a living. That's what you do.
I do.
You're a lot of people's therapist. Yeah, you're the caregiver. They come in to see you. You say, "Man, how's it going?" You hit the clippers, and for the next 30 minutes or however long it is, I've seen you do something like 30 seconds. But you talk and care, right? And you can't talk. Oh, you can. It just takes a while.
So back to what you initially said, that, I'm in ICU and the nurse comes in, slaps me on the back, says, "Congratulations, you got the brand new shot that just came out. That's the first time we've ever given it here." What?
You're the test case,
Thanks
man.
for the the update. But really had a big part of making me better quicker. It really, really did.
Yeah.
I think I spent 5 or 6 days in ICU, and when I finally got to come home, I went in on a walker, which is it's hard on your heart.
Yeah.
I had to go in on a walker, make my way to my spot on my couch, and
You're 49,
yeah,
and all of a sudden, I'm talking about you're doing what you do every single day, every single year. You're preparing with the same people, same faces. Me and you've talked so many times in the past just about your dreams, what we're planning on doing, how you're going to take baseball, this thing to the next level, your love, your passion. And while you're there, everything changes in a dime.
absolutely in a moment.
And in a few days, you're actually going back in the house that you left to head to a meeting on a walker, and you can't really string together real thoughts.
Yeah, it's hard to explain to everyone, especially if you've never been through anything like that. But it really does turn your life upside down.
Yeah.
And I mean, rightfully so.
Yeah.
I made my mind up, though. I wasn't going to let the stroke define me. I had to make my mind up of that.
Yeah.
And it took a while because I was living in that feel sorry for me gutter for a while. I mean, I'm not going to lie.
Let me ask you a question, because you kind of bring up something, and we'll kind of go ahead and jump into this. I think sometimes when we have hard moments like this and we go, "This is not going to define me," I think there's a thin line between this thing is not going to define me, but this thing actually has put certain limits on me.
Yeah.
And I think we fought that. You fought that. I think that's fair. The difference in defining and limiting, right? When you can't talk, you emotionally, where you were struck with your stroke, it affected you emotionally. So one of the first conversations that we had was about the emotional ups and downs. And you're in that first 6 months, the recovery time. They're saying you got to work, you got to do therapy, you're out walking, you're doing all this stuff. You got the walker, but your brain still hadn't said, "Jamey, you're not the same guy that left a couple of days ago and that's walking back in this house." Yeah. Your brain said, "Hey, you're the same guy. You're gonna be okay, right? Because nothing's gonna stop me."
Right.
But did it limit you?
Absolutely.
How did you handle that?
So, Rev 5 actually had a show coming up that Saturday in Illinois City. It's one of our big places we like to play. The Tiki Hut, yeah.
Yeah.
And I told the guys, I said, "We're playing Saturday." And they're all laughing at me.
I remember this.
So Sean helps me downstairs to play the drums. And I said,
At
"Come
your
on."
house?
At my house, yeah. He says, "Come on, you can do it. Let's do it." So I sat down on the drum kit, and this is 3 days out of the hospital.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not going to do it because my brain's telling this hand to do this and this hand to do that, and it just doesn't work out.
Your wires were crossed.
I could do everything left-handed. I could do everything right-handed. But as soon as I put them together, it was like a train crash.
And, you sounded like me playing the drums.
I'm telling you, I was sitting on that drum kit squalling, thinking, "I'm never going to be able to do this again." And
how was that moment?
oh, horrific. A lot of people that know me know one of my favorite places in the world to be is in that box on this stage at the Grove. And that's the honest to God's truth.
Sunday mornings.
When JT sends out a text that says, "No band this week," I mean, I almost go into...
You've told me more than once in church, out of church, just when we're together, and this isn't because you're blowing smoke. You don't have to with me. Like, we're real with one another. But you say Sunday mornings is your favorite time of the week.
Absolutely. It is absolutely my favorite time of the week. It is.
And in that moment, you're sitting in your basement, you're losing Sunday mornings, you're losing your Rev 5, possibly cutting hair. For people that don't know those moments, like, I've never had a stroke like that. God willing, I won't have limits like that put on me anytime. And other people that are listening have never had that. But for a person that's walking in that, right? Because there's people right now that's going to listen to this that are listening to this, they're hearing your story. They just got told they have cancer. They just got told they got pancreatic issues. They just got told they got Crohn's. They just got told they got, arthritis, stroke, whatever. They maybe have congestive heart failure. Your brain catching up with where your body is and the limitations. When that first hits, honestly, how does a person feel?
Oh, it's jarring. It isn't even a good way to put it. It's just it's monumental.
Do you feel alone?
Very much so.
Because I would think, I'm thinking, like, if I got up tomorrow and I couldn't talk, like, that's what's the equivalent of, right? And my brain is formulating all these thoughts that I want to share with people. People come to me, they want to counsel together. I want to give them advice, or they're asking me questions, or I want to preach or teach or whatever. And all of a sudden, my brain still clicks, and I can see it, but I can't communicate it with you. Like, to me, that would be like, that'd be hell on earth. That would be a prison sentence.
It's rough because, like we've talked about, I am a talker. That's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
And to not be able to do that, it's rough. I mean, and I've had a couple of TIAs, which are mini strokes, since the major stroke. And I had one a couple months ago that I lost my speech for 4 or 5 days.
Yep.
And just woke up one Wednesday morning, was back, just like nothing had ever happened. And it's frustrating. You think you get over that hill, and then all of a sudden you're pushed back down.
I remember the first time
scary.
I talked to you, and you were stuttering super bad.
Yeah.
And it shocked me. And I didn't want you to see that on me, because I knew you were just happy to be at church, man.
Absolutely.
I'd been to your house. We'd sat on the floor one day and by your bed. We'd been down. It was an emotional moment. You told me about the drums, just all the different things. But then when we were talking and you had the stuttering, I was like, man, my man's never, they were like, well, the first 6 months, I was like, man, God gonna have to do a work, because my man, he can't put it together.
Yeah.
And then it was like, honestly, it was like a couple of days later, like, you just show up, you're just like talking. I was like, Jamey, what happened? I thought, man, this dude been pranking us all. But it's like God turned it back on.
Certainly. Yeah.
It went off, it went on. And then there for a little while, if you got worked up a little bit, or if you're trying to really think about something, then would go away.
Yeah.
So you're kind of held hostage in this. You're experiencing emotions you've never experienced before, right? You're at a spiritual place that you've never been before.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And then what happens? How do things keep going for you? What are you learning in this process? What's God showing you in this kind of time out?
Well, I'll tell you, I think I was out of work for 5 months, which, being self-employed, it's your only source of income. I went through the normal things that most folks like that would. I had 20 years building a business. Now it's all going to go away. No one's ever going to come see me again. Those type of things. I watch my kids, and I'm supposed to be the one helping them, and here they are taking care of me. And that is such a pill to swallow. It really, really is. Yeah. Hindsight's beautiful, but at the time I didn't have hindsight.
Yeah. Okay, we're sitting in a room right now that when this happened with you, and I don't even know if you know this story, but and I can tell you this story. Yeah, I'm going to tell you this story. We met in this room, and it was I think it was a Wednesday night. I don't know if you'd made it home yet or whatever. Alex showed up, and we just called all of our people that we knew, that knew you, that worked with you in different capacities. And this is truth. All around this room right here, all around these walls, there were different people sitting in chairs. And there was probably 30 of us sitting in here. And we were talking about what you needed, right? What can we do for him? How can we, because we were all having the same thing. Like, we're watching our guy go through this. And he works for a living, and he's self-employed. It's not like he's got, there's no workman's comp. Was he going to sue himself?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, how's he going to do this? We're all worried to death. And one of the beautiful things is the community in which we live, right? This community, I cannot explain to people how much I love this area, how much I love our county, our city. That we rally around one another and we care for one another. And that day, the subject was you, right? And that's beautiful. But let's talk about this for just a moment. You did not receive that well. And I don't mean like you were ugly, But to have someone actually trying to take care of you, you were not a good patient. You know, we were all trying to be doctors and caregivers, but what do you think that comes from? Because I'm not picking on that, because I think I would be the exact same way, right? No, I'm good. I'll figure it out. I don't, we give to people so much. I don't need anybody giving to me. That's not how I'm wired. But what happened with you? Like, why was that such a struggle, you think?
Oh man, it was an extreme struggle to accept help from others. I don't know. I guess I'd always been on the other end. You and I are cut from the same cloth in a lot of ways. You see someone needs help, we on
We're
board.
the guys.
We're there.
Yeah.
I think for me to admit that I needed it was a huge step. It took me a long time to be able to admit, okay, I do need help. And here we are a couple years out, and I still have people trying to help me. And it's amazing, absolutely amazing.
I remember me and you had some real honest conversations, and I said, Jamey, you can't do this anymore. Like, you need it. And you're like, I mean, you were like, I know what you're saying. That's what you'd always say. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. Right? You never were ugly to me, and I wasn't ugly to you. But to come to that point to say, let these people love on you. Like, we were going to ball field. I remember, Biscuit's out there at the football field in his family, and we've got T-shirts. We got the Superman logo, with the barber pole. You go to the baseball field. We had a bunch of folks from the church got together and did a kickball game. I'm not saying all that to say, anything except for people were trying to love on us. And I think that's one of the things, Jamey, is like when we're going through moments where we're in it, and part of God's grace is sending the helpers when they're needed. And part of this Southern mentality, this male mentality, especially when you're given, is to reject the help that God's sending our way.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Absolutely.
I don't know what that's all. Do you think like some of us just struggle saying, I need help? Like it's a personal thing.
It is.
Yeah, I don't know who we feel like we let down the most, others or ourselves.
Oh, absolutely ourselves.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How do you do that? Like, now you're looking back at it. If you had somebody that was in your place, going through what you're going through, and there's people trying to help, but they're like, no, I'm good. They shut their door. They just go fight it because they're praying, God, they're making deals. And God's like, I'm about to surround you with people you can't even imagine. I'm about to support you in ways that you can't even imagine. I'm not just going to feed you. I'm going to pay your bills. I'm going to open doors for you. I'm going to do whatever it is that God's going to do. What would you say to those people that are in the middle of pain and yet are still prideful and rejected?
Being in the middle of that storm is something that is so difficult in the respect that it's such chaos. When you bring up the word storm, it's such chaos. There is no rhyme or reason for it. And when you're hurting, like I was hurting, when everything is so upside down, the thing that was said to me that finally shut me up, so to speak, was, don't steal my blessings. And I'm telling you, I think it was Rod Snyder that first said that to me. He said, don't you steal my blessings.
He's trying to do something for you,
It's like a kick in the teeth. I mean, but it's a great kick in the teeth.
So he's trying to do something for you,
Certainly.
and you're saying no.
Yeah.
I don't need this.
Yeah, I'm good. It's okay. Don't you steal my blessings.
How many times did you say, no, I'm good, and lie?
Oh,
straight through your
every
teeth.
time. Every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
And then we go pray. God, help me out. And he's
right.
like, dude, I just sent a guy in your house.
That's right. That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And so.
But my pride is so, and it's such a bad word, but I'm just going to be honest, it's the way it was. Prideful.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have been.
But I think we all are. And I think we got friends right now that's going to be listening to this that are in the same boat.
I agree.
Yeah, I think let me ask you this, and then we're going to start closing this thing up because you've been so gracious to give me of your time. We got to get you cut some hair. There's going to be some ugly looking dudes this week if we don't get you back out. How do you get to a place where you finally admit, God, I need help? What would you say to somebody?
Can I bring up the sermon with the?
You can bring, yeah.
So you preached a sermon with the vase.
Yeah.
And most of you probably remember this sermon. It's had such a huge impact on me, but he brings the vase out and talks about broken people. He takes a hammer out and he starts. I think he's losing his mind backstage.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I had this vase, and
and
I wanted to
cracks
give this illustration with this vase. We were talking about masterpieces.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I
And
started busting it.
started busting this vase, and he hands it to Reagan. Reagan brings it back a little while later with it glued together, and there's a light on the inside, and you can see the cracks through this vase. And that sermon changed me so much. It made me realize it's not just about me. And I don't know how else to put it that way, but that way. Looking at that vase, and it was so. I have this vase, by the way.
You took it.
I asked for it, and they graciously gave it to me. It sits on my mantle in my den.
Which is crazy to me because it was just, I bought these 2 cheap little pots, one to break and one to bring back out. And you said, "Can I keep this?" I think you asked somebody. Yeah, please get it out of here.
Yeah, but the premise of the sermon was, beauty in the brokenness. I was so broken in so many different ways, but God held me together.
He glued you back.
Oh man, and I'm nowhere near the person I was before any of this ever happened, and I dare say, which is a tough thing to say, but I'm thankful that I went through the things I went through.
It's changed you.
Oh, tremendously.
I've said this, and you're a living example of this. I think the broken moments of life change us for the better faster and in greater ways than the most successful moments, right?
Right.
There's so many things that you and I we've done that are successful. I would say those are great days, right? You got an award, a certificate, you achieved something, you graduated school, whatever. You can play the drums, whatever. If I'm really wanting to talk to somebody, I never mention that. I talk about my hardest days and the days I didn't think I was going to get through. In fact, I was just talking with a guy recently, today, as a matter of fact, and what I was talking about was the hardest days of my life, And it's in those moments where life's coming through and it's the hammer and it's just busting us. Whether you're going into a press box for a Monday night meeting, or whether you're walking in a house and she's about to serve you with divorce papers, or whether you just came out of a doctor's office and you're told you got cancer, or you just lost a baby. I don't know. There's all kinds of things that the hammer of life it just leaves us in pieces, And God comes through, each one of those pieces is glued back differently. And he sends in, I think it was Mr. Rogers that used to say, whenever bad things happen, look for the helpers. And I think we're really good with that. If our house is burning down, we look for a fireman. Yeah. If my car's broken into, I look for a policeman. You know what I mean? There's certain things that I look for the helpers. But when it's me personally, I am, like you, I reject the helpers, right? But that's who God sends in with the glue. And so all of a sudden we're getting glued back together, right? And we got this beautiful, it is beauty in the brokenness. You wrote a song about it.
I did, yeah. Based off that sermon, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we can do this. I'll have to check with our production folks, but we might even have to slide that song over and let them put this on.
Oh, that would be cool.
That'd be kind of cool. I've told JT we're going to sing it in church. I went bananas the day you sent that to me. And what was funny is I couldn't figure out who was singing it, and you told me that was the AI guy.
AI, yeah.
He was so awesome. I thought Jamey's got a voice too. I hate him. I really hate him.
Donna the AI did it. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. It was awesome. But you wrote this song, and that song is really the message that God gave you.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's going to be days it's going to stretch you.
And listen, every day's not great. Don't let me sit here and act like that things are peaches and. What is it Forrest Gump says,
Yeah.
But,
whatever. He said a lot of stuff.
He said a lot of things.
Yeah, he said life's like a box of chocolates.
Yeah. But my point is, every day's not always grand.
No.
But knowing that the Father is there, knowing that the Father is providing what we need to move forward, that's all that really matters.
That is the hard thing, is knowing that God's providing what we need to move forward.
Sometimes we don't want to hear it.
No. And there's setbacks, dude. I mean, there's setbacks. Well, you're a testimony to the grace of God. And you're a testimony to what God's been doing. Just how he takes these broken pieces and puts them all back together. I want to finish with, there's a couple of thoughts that I got, but one thing I want you to share with me. Last time we met, which was just a week ago, and we were talking through this because we meet often,
Yeah.
and you inspire me. But every now and then you throw a question on me. I didn't know how to answer it, but I'm going to throw it right back at you, and I think it'd be wise for you to share it with others as we talk about coming to the other side. If you look back at people that are going through these moments that you've come out on the other side, there's grace all through your story. We've just talked about a few of them.
Yeah.
What would you say, first of all, what would you say to people that are going into where you just came out of?
Well, first and foremost, faith. And that is a tough thing to say when your world's on fire. But facts are facts. He will not forsake you. He will not leave you stranded. He just won't.
Even when you're laying in a hospital bed and your left side don't work and you're watching the second hands?
And we've talked about this, peaks and valleys. And I love sometimes when I'm on a peak and I'm going, Lord, I know the valley's coming up. Could you please make it easy? And but facts are facts. Sometimes those valleys define us. I mean, they really, really do. Yeah. How are you going to react with that? And I should really say, how are we going to react?
Ooh.
Because he's right there with me. And one of my favorite things to do, and I know we've talked about this before, but the old footprints painting.
Yeah.
Where, you have two sets of footprints and all of a sudden there's just one. Why is there one? Because God carried me. And man, that's fantastic because it's so factual.
I think letting him carry you.
That's tough.
A lot of us want to wiggle.
But he will, man.
Dude, he'll
scoop you right up, show you right where the path is.
You're making deals in a hospital bed, and he's like, bro, we don't need to make any deals. I put you in the right place at the right time with the right people to get you here to the right location with the right medicine. Bro, the deal's done. I got you.
Facts.
But we're already thinking about what kind of deals we got to make to move forward.
Because I'm still handling my life like it's my life to handle.
Man, that's so good. If we're talking to somebody on the other side of this, you're on the looking back is, don't panic. God's got you.
That's right.
Right? These days, it may get worse before it gets better. It may look like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. When we're sitting in the floor in your bedroom and, we're around your couch and whatever, and you're just boo-hooing. Nobody would have saw today.
Correct.
When you're standing backstage and you can't play the drums because the left and the right don't work and you're stuttering, like you can't formulate. We didn't see today.
Correct.
But here we are. Here's the last thing. So we encourage them, keep going. It's going to get, God's got the deal. You ain't got to make the deal. He's got the deal.
That's right.
But you asked me a question. You said this. And this is where we're done. How do you cope? How do you cope with trying to do the right thing and failing? Part of this was you coming out and now being on the grace side of this, looking back, is trying to get things in order, trying to make the right decisions, trying to please people, but you said, how do you cope with failing? Like, what would you say? How do you cope? Because we both fail. I'm trying to do the right thing.
Correct. Yeah.
You're trying to do the right thing. How do you cope?
I wish I had a good answer, but...
Oh, you don't?
I wish I had a good answer, but truthfully, you just have to trust that the path that you're on is the path that God has you on. And sometimes we don't want to hear that because, again, I'm driving.
Yeah.
So I say. I'm driving.
Right. Yeah.
Facts are facts. God's leading me where he needs me to be. And you and I talked about this last week. Sometimes the path isn't exactly what you were expecting it to be, but you still end up where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, and we talk about, there's never the right time to do the hard thing.
Yeah, gosh.
And I think, one of the beautiful
Might
things...
be my next tattoo.
Get it, baby, get it. I love it. One of the things that we have to remember, though, is we never stop trying to do what God wants us to do, which is the right thing. And there's days where you fail, I fail, but Jamey, he never fails.
No.
And that's how we cope with it. So whether you wake up in a hospital bed or whether you're driving into the doctor's or you're coming out of the worst day of your life and you've been trying to do what's right, but you're failing, or you feel like you're failing, your body's failing you, God never fails. He's the one carrying us.
That's right.
Dude, I'm so thankful you shared your story with us. There's so many people who have been just absolutely blessed by you. And I think we'd be remiss to not say thank you to all the people that have poured into you and been those blessings for you.
Absolutely.
We are blessed beyond measure to live where we live. And there's so many people that you're here because of them. But I think those people also, and I'm not going to speak on their behalf, but I will, they're where they are because of you. And so when we start looking at all these things and we're trying to do the best and we fail or something happens to us, God never fails, and you're a story of that. So thank you for sharing your story of grace.
Absolutely.
I love you very much.
I love you.
All right, man. So this is to many more years.
That's right.
All
We're going
right.
to keep doing it.
Listen, we love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Tune in next week with more stories and tales from the other side.